I tell you what, that just gets me fired up. Hey, hello everybody out there. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good Monday morning. TJ, good seeing you out there, TJ, in Ohio. Hey, I'd like to thank Mr. Antonio Dash. Thank you so much. Regional Director, Mr. Brian Baker in Las Vegas. I remember that picture you took. We were on the red carpet to go see TD Jakes there in Dallas, Texas. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jordan Say up in Nashville. Thank you. Miss Joyce Brewer, as always, you're always good seeing you, young lady. Mr. Jenkins. Hey, congratulations, everybody. Just to give Mr. Jenkins a hand. He's a brand new IBO. Got 16 points over the weekend. Congratulations, Mr. Jenkins. Thank you so much. Miss Walker, thank you so much for joining. Miss Castro in Phoenix, Arizona, thank you for joining on. Patricia and Frank Bowman up in Elk Grove, California. Good to see you guys on there. And also, thanks for all you guys are doing. Boss lady, Miss Ismail. Miss Tasha Ismail out there in Fresno, California. Ms. Robinson, thank you so much for joining. Queen V out there in New York City, thank you for being on here. Mr. Darrell, thank you so much. Hey, listen, we got a great call lined up today. This young lady, as you know, is a phenomenal. She asked me, what should I talk about? I go, whoa, I know you've been away from us for a week or two. I know God has gave you some things to talk about, whatever's on your heart, because I trust her explicitly. She hails down in the coastline of Monterey / Salinas / 17-mile drive area. I mean, gorgeous part of the country down there. I used to hang out there at the Highlands Inn. My God, it brings back some memories. She and her husband they have several businesses together. As a matter of fact, one is a construction business. She might tell that story. Over the weekend, she had her family members come in. She could not join us Friday night because they came to town. They had a beautiful barbecue going out in a beautiful, gorgeous, I mean, lush backyard, and the waterfalls were going, and they had the pizza maker going. I mean, my God, I figured I was in a 5-star hotel. And I'm just looking at the pictures. I got jealous of the wine. I'm like, I started drooling and everything else all on my phone and had to wipe my mouth. But we're so glad here. And she gave us a couple of great things. She said, I took notes on. She says A10 is a lifeboat for them. And I want her to share, whatever's on her heart. And she says, you must be real and go pro with this business and stay on your goals. Without further ado, the lady, the legend, she's not a myth, she's a legend in our business, and she does a great job, has a lot of respect from the leaders in ACN, and we're just so glad to have her back. She's gonna be with us all the month of June. Hey, all the month of June. So I know God gave her a lot of things to give to us. So without further ado, one and only, the great, the beautiful young lady, Miss Jocelyn Driskill, Regional Vice President Platinum, out of Monterey, Salinas area. God bless you. Good morning, dear.
Good morning. How are you?
Sensational. Good seeing you.
Really good to see you. I know I had you drooling. I just had to send you those pictures.
Look, I'm still wiping my face.
You know, my husband is amazing in his backyard with that cooker and the pizza oven, and everybody loves enjoying it. So the home is open for you, sir. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, of course. So I'm grateful to be here. I can't believe it's already June 1st. Wow. We're halfway through the 2020, right? So, I don't know what all of you have been doing, but work has been happening on this side and lots of good things since the last time I saw you. In fact, we have a newly promoted executive team leader here on this call. She did that in less than 24 hours. So we're excited to have her here, Miss Heather Perry. And so let's talk. I have had it on my heart to go back to a subject that I started to bring up in one of my topics. But some of you might not know who I am. I know Mr. Thomas, thank you so much for trusting in me with your leadership, with your organization. That does not sit on my heart lightly. I take it, for me, it means a lot just to have a leadership role side by side with you. Mr. Thomas is truly a blessing. You have truly impacted Tony and I's life in so many ways over the last 11 years. There's no words to really give to you for how grateful we are for your leadership. And those of you who get to work directly with Mr. Thomas, having him just present with you, you guys, please count it as a blessing, because I don't know too many people who have run multi-million-dollar companies for 20, you know, a quarter of a century, whatever you want to call it, you know, that just come right back into your living room and into your hearts to pour into you. Sometimes I believe we take this for granted, and I will ask you to reevaluate how much you take him for granted, because it is a true blessing to have that mentorship. I am grateful. So thank you, sir. But I want to come to you today and talk to you about productivity. Because, you know, I've had to evaluate my productivity over the years. And again, for those of you who maybe don't know my background, I was a hairdresser for 28 years. I was very successful in that industry. I had to work on myself. I had to work on my business. I had to be intentional about building that business. I was a single mom. So I don't know about any of you out there, whether you're a single parent, you have a lot going on, but you want to have some results in your business. Some of you work ACN part-time, spare time. It's exactly how we did it in the beginning, so I'm going to talk about that. But before I met my husband, I was a single mom raising my daughter and running a successful salon, booked a year in advance. How did I do that? The biggest reason was my why. Right? I had to put a roof over my head. So I hope each and every one of you have your why either written in lipstick on your mirror or in a big vision board that you need to have in front of you every day. I hope it sits in your heart every day, because I hear people's whys and sometimes I wonder why more things aren't happening on a daily basis when I know how big the why is. So that should always drive you. It's what drove me. Then I met my husband in his construction company. You know, he owns a construction company. He's ran a construction company since he was 20. How did he do that? You know, someone who didn't have prior business history and success. He watched his father in the industry, but then he worked for somebody else. You know, that's a different story, but he, you know, he had something that drove him, but he also had a work ethic. So you have to add that work ethic to your why. And this is all leading to the producing of what you're looking for in this business, whether it's part-time, spare time, or it's full-time. You can do it all in this business. It's very difficult to do part-time, spare time in a traditional business, right? So I think people take that piece of this business for granted, is thinking, okay, it's part-time, spare time, but then it doesn't become a priority. So when we saw ACN, and many of you know, as Mr. Thomas had just shared with you, ACN was a lifeboat to us. So if you have prayed for anything to be different and you're new here on this call and you want ACN to be the change in your world so you can be the change in our world, it can be. But you have to apply that work ethic, that desire, that why, and be coachable to the system so that you can work it part-time, spare time. See, we had multiple businesses going. We were losing everything that we had created over all those years together in the construction industry, and there was nothing we could do about it. But what we could do about it was the prayer was answered, and we had a solution called ACN. We had that lifeboat called ACN, and we didn't take it for granted. So whether I talk about taking someone for granted or I say talking about ACN and taking it for granted, we have to realize the power that it can do. So whether you want it to be paying you part-time money, full-time money, what type of effort are you going to apply to your business in ACN around what you're doing? See, I don't know what each individual person here, what your why is. I don't know what time you have to put to ACN. We literally, in my opinion, in our head, we had 0 time to put towards ACN. So because I was looking at the clock, you know, but the clock was ticking fast on our money and our finances. So you know, how does that look? So let's talk about productivity. And I want you to write down some of these questions. First question I want you to ask yourself is, how do you see yourself? What is your worth? Okay, so we know what God says about our worth, but what do you say about your worth? How much worth do you apply to who you are and what you want. And it's going to go somewhere. The next thing I want you to write down is, how valuable are you in the marketplace? Are you creating value for who you are and what you can bring to the marketplace? Now, what does that mean? There's two facets to value. How valuable are you, and what value are you bringing? Okay, so when you look at that, you can actually put dollars to that value. Nobody's value is a dollar figure, but if you're going to be running a business and you're bringing value and you're bringing your value, you need to put a dollar figure to that. So I want you to, while I'm talking here, I want you to write down how much, if you have a job or a career, what do you get paid per hour? Has that been something that has marked you for a lifetime of how valuable you are per hour? And do you think you're more valuable than actually what you're getting paid? So really, I want you to really focus on that piece, because I'm gonna really hit this piece home when I get to some of these other things. Where is your money being lost in your day? So are you actually decreasing your hourly wage every day? And we're going to come back to that. What is distracting you to create more value for the marketplace and increase your money value per hour? So you have to decide what's stealing your time. Okay, so those are the things that I want to answer. And I also want to go over a few things. I had the wonderful Miss Natasha Ismail send me some questions because I had asked her to. And some of these are really close to what I was talking about: how to stay disciplined and focused and cut out all the white noise. Okay, so we're going to cover that with these questions. How to create new habits and balance your schedule in a sense where you don't get consumed with activity. How to make it fun in times like this, because this girl is all about the fun. Mr. Thomas saw those pictures, and they are all about having fun with your family, right? So we've talked about before on these leadership calls about priority and how you prioritize. And I discussed how the three, putting God first, family second, and business third, will give you your priority in your day. How do you keep track of your prospects and exposures is another question she had. And do you have an ACN routine you follow? So we're going to talk about some of those things. So first of all, is there anyone who wants to share how much value in dollars per hour they think they're worth or that they're creating? Anybody want to unmute themselves and share that? If you don't, it's okay. We're going to talk about that. So if you take that number and you take your list of priorities, where do you put ACN in your day? Okay, so if you have, we've gone back to the calendar. I'm going to go back to it again. All right, so your calendar. Do you have a physical calendar? And I know Mr. Thomas does. We've talked about it. Do you write in it? So the first thing you have to do is in your week so your week should start Sunday, and you need to put in everything you have to do, the have tos. So if you have a job, your job needs to go in there. If you have a commitment to a parent or a commitment to a child or, whatever that is, or you're homeschooling, that has to go in there, right? So your have tos. So if I told you that I felt, and it's hard to put a number on what my hourly wage, if I told you I'm worth $1,000 an hour, you might gasp and go, how could I ever be worth $1,000 an hour? Well, the thing is in hairdressing, I could make $1,000 a day. So that didn't actually make me worth $1,000 an hour, right? But as I've grown in my business and who I feel I am, when you as a woman, as a man, single, not single, whatever it is, you have your household happening around you, and especially in times like now, right? You know, my husband's in the other room. I have to close the office doors because he's talking on the phone. I'm sitting here, you know, we're not in a 2-story where there's, you know, you can separate ceilings, and we're here and we have to work it out. We have to work out in our space. So that distraction could distract me. It could distract him and get him off his course. So why I'm talking about all of this is to bring you to a fact of who is stealing the time. What is stealing your time from producing in your ACN business? Are you making and creating the income that you're looking for, part-time, spare time, and seeing yourself promoting to that next position? Like, have you set those goals? And are you breaking them down and going backwards? So this is what I will share with you. I'm going to share some things with you that could distract my day. And they will if I don't learn the power of no. So how many of you realize you say yes to everything? Yeah, I can tell you I was in that place. I see Queen V going like this, right? I don't see everybody on here, but I can see her doing, yes, it's me, okay? So I want you to write at the top of your page, the power of no, okay? Because I have to learn this. You know, I'm a mom, still a mom, even though my daughter's 36 years old, which means, and now I have 3 grandchildren, so I'm a grandmother. So being a mom does not ever change. I'm just telling you. So the phone still gets picked up and mom, can you do this for me? And mom, can you do that for me? And she's not needy, but that's just what we do as young adults and, you know, wanting the attention of our parents and so forth. And we have 3 grandchildren. My daughter also works. She's also a business partner with us here in ACN. And, you know, she could pick up the phone today and say, Mom, or text me, obviously, Mom, can you take the kids at 2 o'clock this afternoon? Well, I have to go back to my schedule and I have to say, no, I'm sorry, honey, I can't. This is the power of no. See, could I feel guilty by saying no? Yes. But now I have just taken myself off track, and guess what is in my why? That daughter and those 3 grandchildren. So now I didn't say no, and now I've pushed what my why is. I made it my why not, okay? Because of guilt. So I also want you to take guilt off of the table here, because some of you who have been on previous leaderships with me, I've talked about how I've learned to be effective in the time I have with my grandchildren, with my daughter, with my family. It's all about, you know, the distractions of phone and all these different things where you can be present. So you have to schedule all of these things. So I told my daughter, if you are welcome to text me and call me at any time. And of course, she's my daughter, and ask. If I'm free, I will do it if I can. But the best thing for you to do is to schedule that with me in advance, just like I have to schedule my day, just like you have to schedule your day. Have communication and conversation with the people in your life so that they understand your value. You know, when someone calls you to schedule, you know, like you're working with a new person in your team, and they want to have your time, and, you know, they're scheduling their appointments. How many of you have heard or experienced someone saying, okay, I'm going to call my friends and family and see when they're available, and then I'll schedule a PBZ or a PBR? How many of you heard that? How many times has Mr. Thomas and I have heard that, right? And what have we had to do? I've had to wrestle with myself and say, okay, step back. What's my value? They're making their friends and family their time more valuable than mine, correct? You're making Mr. Thomas's time less valuable when you allow your friends and family to dictate when those are going to be. So if I haven't created that space as a leader with my team with my leaders and let them know they have to be planned in advance. Yes, well, there'll be some last minute things, but it's never going to be based on. So I have to have conversations like, this is not how it works. How it works is just like a birthday party or a wedding. I'm not asking my friends and family when they're available. I'm setting the time of when this appointment is going to be or when this party is going to be. And then I'm inviting. And those who can make it, great. And those who can't make it, we move them to another time. Okay. So we have to be committed to that, because every single time that we allow someone to put somebody else's value ahead of our own value, we now have something that has taken our value in the marketplace and our worth down. We have now lessened our hourly rate. And it all comes back to money. Okay, it does. It comes back to money. Money isn't everything, and we're all freedom driven here. I hope we're all freedom driven, time and money. But when we devalue our hourly rate, we're not getting to the freedom part. So when you're working in business, you got to detach yourself from the emotion. And so you have to have these strong conversations with your leaders so that you teach them from the beginning. See, I just had this conversation with a brand new business owner, actually a couple of them over the weekend, you know, and if something hasn't been planned in my day, I have to say, no, I'm sorry. I've already scheduled the rest of my day because we didn't plan it beforehand. Okay. I also truly would advise you to take Sunday off as much as you can, you know, to give your family, because if you can really create a space, especially for those of you who see family really important in your life on a daily basis, you can come together on one day and have more time with them that's effective and strictly with them. Does that make sense? And you don't take business calls. I mean, there's always going to be something that kind of meanders in there, but you treat your business just like you treat your family. If you're with your family, you're going to be present with your family. If you're with your business, you're going to be present with your business, and you're not going to let the two overlap. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the value dollar wise, hourly wise. Okay. So let's look at this. How many of you have a home? Many of you do. You all live in a home. We're all in our homes, right? You either own it or rent it, or apartment or whatever. So, you know, over the years, I have realized that I decrease my hourly rate by things I actually do in my house or outside of my house that decrease it. So let's take, for instance, cleaning of this house. Now, can I clean my house? Yes, I can clean my house. And I do the pickup work and laundry and those kinds of things, of course. And I'm doing dishes and all those things. But we all like to have someone to clean our house, right? And there were times where I couldn't even afford a house cleaner, so I had to figure that out. But I also know we could afford a house cleaner if we were thinking this way. So if I'm worth, let's just say $100 an hour, and it cost, because literally I could make $1,000 in a day, and I would work, you know, 8 to 10 hours. So you break that down, that's $100 an hour or so. So if you think about that, if I pay a house cleaner $20 an hour, and I'm worth $100 an hour, and I'm working over here for $100 an hour, and my house cleaner is here for 8 hours at $20 an hour, she's making $160, right? And I'm working 8 hours, I'm making $800. So if I would have taken my $100 an hour and worked 8 hours, I lost $800. But because I became more valuable per hour, and I see myself more valuable, I now subtract the $160 from $800. What do you have left? What is that, 640? No, 620. What is it? I don't know. I don't the math part. Anyway, I think it's 620 or something like that. Anyway, you could, what is it?
40.
640. Okay, off 20 bucks. It's still right. So if I made 640 still, because I subtracted the 160 from it, you can see what I'm talking about here is that it was more valuable for me to have her work 8 hours on my house for $20 an hour while I could still continue my work over here. Some people will take that time all day to clean their house thoroughly, and they just lost all this income over here. I hope this makes sense. I know Natasha's shaking her head. Okay, so I want you to really think about how valuable ACN, when you look at the compensation plan, what really could you create? What hourly wage could you really put to your, to who you are and what you could bring to the marketplace and create? If you look at the compensation plan, so do you really know and understand our ACN compensation plan? Because you could be well worth more than $100 an hour, but you're putting your time in places and distractions that really are taking away from this. So I'm trying not to go all over the board, but I want you to really hone in on your worth, because the productivity will come when you realize that you're not worth $10 an hour. You're not worth minimum wage. You're not worth, right? In ACN, you could be worth $1,000 or plus some more an hour, and it will continue to grow. It could be $100 an hour. It could be $200 an hour, whatever it is. So understanding the compensation plan and what you want to create, not just each week or each month, how much you want to create each day. And then you can backtrack and say, what are my actions and what do I need to do to create that? And what are those distractions that I'm placing myself in that are taking away from my hourly rate that I should either be paying for, I shouldn't be doing, right? Including my yard. Like, I love going out in my yard. Mr. Thomas and many of you have seen my yard. And a lot of that is my handiwork. I've put it together. I love landscaping and flowers and all of that. I've done that because I love doing it. Okay. So, but I've set a time aside. But there's things about my yard that require at the, different seasons of, trimming the trees and all that stuff. I don't do that. I hire it. Okay. Because it takes away from my value, and I don't actually love getting up in a ladder and trimming a tree anyway. So, or tearing down bushes, or I hope my point is coming across here. Okay. So eliminating distractions, whether it's the family distraction where you haven't planned it, or it's allowing people in your business that you work alongside. See, we're independent business owners. Okay, we're not dependent business owners. And when you're new, you're learning from a coach. So how much value, and when you're new, are you looking at your coach and saying, this is how valuable you are, but is the coach saying how valuable they are? See, they'll show you how valuable they are if they think they're that valuable. So like Miss Natasha Ismail, right? Or Mr. Brian Baker, how valuable every single one of you are valuable, and you have an hourly wage that you are worth, but you're not utilizing each moment the right way and allowing people to treat. See, we allow people to treat us because the way they treat us because we allow it. And it is not because we're saying we're better. We are trying to teach people how they should be treated, because their value is just as important. Okay? We all have family. We all have work. We all have businesses. We all have other things going on. So this conversation is a 360-degree conversation. It's not about an individual who has a title. It's not. It starts at CQ. Okay. It starts at customer quality. It starts the moment you step in and write your name on an independent business owner agreement. And I want you to teach people to know your value and how valuable they can become. Does that make sense? Everybody? Okay. So not allowing guilt to come in when you are teaching people how to, you know, really work in the right time frames. So when we're talking about setting PBZs and PBRs, and we're finally able to go do that, I can't wait for that time, right? You know, how are you letting them control your time? Okay. So it's not all about you even not being disciplined in your time. How are you allowing other people to control your time? Are you making the plan for the week? Like I tell people, I'm planning my schedule on Saturday night or Sunday. Some things are already in my schedule, as you know, I have other things just because I don't have another job or a career. You know, we have a construction company and we have all those other things that happen. And I'm in the middle, actually, you guys, I'm in the middle of finishing a real estate license that I have to get. It's not because I want it. I'm not going to be a realtor. Trust me, I'm not. I'm doing it for our real estate investment. Okay. But I have to finish it. I have to work it into my schedule. I can't put it on the back burner. How many things do you have on the back burner that you don't finish? I'm also in the middle of writing my book. I'm putting it out there. It's already started. I have a publisher. I'm writing my book. How do I do that and still be productive in my business? I have 3 grandchildren. I have a husband. I have a mother who's 82 years old. You guys, and I have a team global. So I'm conscious. I have to be conscious. I'm not perfect and I never will be perfect, nor will you. So understand that piece, but it's really important that you eliminate your daily distractions. So I want you to write down, what is it, or multiple things that actually distract you from what you need to be doing for your business. What becomes more important than your why? And you make it your why not. Right? Because I can guarantee you 100% all of us, our families and our friends who are our whys, whether we're here to lead by because we want to be the example, are the ones who distract us. Or our team, our leaders whose agendas are different than ours. And we allow to spend hours having conversations that aren't producing for them either. You have leadership calls like this every single morning. So this is in your calendar. So that's where all that stuff can be learned and taught and focused on. And if you're leveraging these leaderships and you're leveraging all the things that Mr. Thomas and these leaders have put in place for you, you don't need any other times to have discussions that are hours with people. If you're not helping them produce or leverage an event, you're not making money. So there's so much in place for you in ACN to make money and leverage your time. And it's how are you using it? And are you disciplined? Because, back in 2009, when we saw ACN, the only way we were able to create a comma in our check and not even know that we did it is because we were coachable. We didn't question our leadership. We didn't have long conversations about why we should do something. They didn't have time. They showed us how valuable their time was, because guess what? If we were doing that, it's draining, and they would have been with someone else. And we didn't want someone else to get the time we needed because we needed to make the money. We needed to learn how to do this business correctly. And they just taught us from the very beginning the value of their time, the value of our time, and the leverage of this company that's given by leadership and by the company itself. So sometimes you as leaders can you're going to have a conversation with someone for you, not really for them. You're not the deal. I'm not the deal. I've had to learn that too. I can actually obviously help someone through something, but it needs to be worked into the schedule, not just when somebody needs you at that moment and you respond right away. Stop responding right away. Again, you're teaching people how to treat you. And if it's an emergency, that's one thing. But if you're responding right away, you will always be distracted from your production. Turn the phone off. So I've had this conversation before. You guys, my phone is on silent 24/7. Doesn't mean I don't look at it, but I have learned to not get distracted by all the dings, the white noise that comes with WhatsApp. You guys, I have 17 WhatsApp groups. Can you imagine if I had notifications on? I would never get anything done. I don't have it on my groups. I don't have it on my social media. I don't have any notifications. My ringer is off as well. So what does that mean? I look at my phone when I need to. I just do. I get notified on text message and a call will come through, but it doesn't ring. So I would advise all of you to eliminate the noise that you don't need. Because somebody, you know, unless it's in case it's an emergency, and I know God will take care of that in my life. I will be aware of an emergency. I know it. But there is too many distractions. Are you watching TV? You know, is TV becoming something that, you know, it's not late hours. It's, you know, I'm not talking about weekends or whatever your own time, but during the day when you're home, when we're all home, that TV behind me you see is always off. It's never on. Some people say they need noise. No, that's just more distraction. And then you're listening to the wrong things. You're listening to the wrong voices. If you need to listen to something, put on something good in your ear that's going to grow you in this business. Okay, so I mean, these are just conversations that you need to start having with yourself. I hope that whatever I say here has rung, you know, high enough that you will have this conversation with yourself on a daily basis. Look at your schedule, say, I'm not going to step into time stealers worlds. Okay. I'm going to be effective. I'm going to change something about my distractions when it comes to social media and WhatsApp groups. Yes, we go on social media to brand ourselves. We're creating stuff to brand ourselves, and you need to do that. But then don't waste your time there going through everything else. Go on there, do what you need to do, set it aside. It shouldn't be in the middle of your day, though. It should be the beginning of your day or at the end of your day. In most cases. I mean, a lot of times, like, you know, I just took a video of this. I probably won't have time to post it till later, but I will share it because people need to see you doing these things. But it's effective. You have to use it for being effective and creating the value of the dollar amount of your time. Okay, so I think, you know, with all of that, you know, there's a lot there. There's a lot we can cover. And creating how valuable you are. You're 100% valuable in God's eyes, but hourly, you got to break it down. You got to see where you're wasting time and money in your day. It's very, very crucial. This is the time right now to prepare for a huge momentum coming in the fall and winter. And if you don't get on top of this right now, you're going to be behind all the leaders that will be promoting regional vice president, senior vice president, creating massive income if you don't get on it right now. The summertime, June 1st, right now, that's halfway through the year, that you now take this business. I'm getting the chill bump, so I know it's true, and putting conscious effort of value, bringing value to the marketplace, value to your leaders, and value back in your home so that you can be that 360-degree leader, that 360-degree family member, wife, daughter, whatever it is, and you can be it all. 24 hours is the same for everybody. Why can one person achieve so much more in 24 hours than somebody else? Distractions, and not knowing their worth, and not teaching people how to treat their worth. So with that being said, that is what I have. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
You know,
Yeah.
I wanna thank you, Ms. Driskill. I wanna highlight number one, how do you see yourself and what's your worth? You know, I think last week we talked about if you're getting a residual check for $200, how much would you have in the bank? 120,000. But if you had a residual check of 500, how much that you see worth? What are your worth? Number two, she said, you know, how valuable are you to the marketplace, and what do you bring to the marketplace? Number one, you're here to what? Serve. And number two is adding value. There you go, right back what we talked about the other day. And number three, she said, what do you get paid for per hour? And a lot of people don't think about, do you think about more value and what you're paid and what you're worth? And I like number four, the power of no, you know, and don't let people steal your time. This is so important. What is your time worth? I want to end it with a story that my billionaire mentor gave to me at a young years ago. And Peter Daniels, when I showed you the book, The Awesome Power of Public Speaking. And I remember he got saved by Billy Graham, came to Australia and he got saved. But more important, he was on the board for his church. And on the board for his church, he was on the board and they had a board meeting and the pastor said, look, I need somebody to clean the church. Notice my words, I need somebody to clean the church. In other words, sweep the floors. Okay, that's what he was asking about. So Peter Daniels, being a billionaire, he raised his hand. He raised his hand and says, Pastor, I'll have that done. Notice what I'm saying. Pastor, I'll have it what? Done. Okay. So the next weekend, the pastor came to the church and he saw a gentleman he didn't recognize with a broom sweeping the floor. So he immediately picked up his cell phone. He called Peter Daniels and said, listen, there's a guy here sweeping the floor. I thought you were going to do it. He goes, nope, no, Pastor. I said, I'll have it what? Done. I didn't say it was me. I'd have it done. And he was relating to the pastor, and the story I got out of it was Ms. Driskill said today, his time, he says, Pastor, you understand, my time is worth $1,000 an hour. I'll pay him $20 an hour. The job is done. Then they're saying, I had to go do it. My time is too valuable. And that's exactly what Ms. Driskill is saying. What is your time worth? I don't clean my house. I have a housekeeper coming on Thursday. I'm doing my backyard. I have gardeners to come. I don't do a lot of stuff because what is your time worth? I know what mine is worth. Wow. So can we give her a hand for a great call? I mean, great training today. Great information today. What is your time worth? We're trying to do all this other stuff, and your time's more valuable. Get on the phone, get another IBO, and especially as a ETL or RD. And I'd like to give thanks to all our friends from Japan that's on the call from Japan today, and all the IBOs out there in Osaka, Tokyo, as well as over at Okinawa. We got people on from Okinawa today. Thank you so much for being on, and a couple people from India. So thank you all for being on the call today. Ms. Driskill, we love it. Thank you. I got